Been good. Been good as a long break. We wrapped up around Thanksgiving, and finals was right after that. I think guys had a good break and they're ready to go.
How long does it take you to kind of put some pieces together, especially on that infield that, for the most part, will look completely different than last year?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know that you really know the answer to that. I mean, last year we figured it out about halfway through the spring, so hopefully a little bit sooner than that. We've got some really good competition within every spot in there, and so it should be fun to watch them.
At least in that series, the preseason series, there were some guys playing some different positions, like Dylan playing third, Drew was out in center. How much of that is just testing those types of things out, and how much of those are like serious things that you're looking at?
Oh, if we do it, we're pretty serious about it. I mean, Dylan's a real option over there at third base in the infield. Drew Baker's pretty much transitioned to the outfield, even though he could still come in the infield. So we like to ask these guys to be baseball players, and we'll play a few places. And you're really just trying to be as complete as you can, you know, when you move guys around.
I say, when you recruit guys, do you look for guys who can play those multitude of positions and kind of just allow them to move anywhere?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, usually you start in the middle of the field, and generally those guys can move around a little bit.
You mentioned Dylan at third. Can you kind of give us an idea of who else is competing with him at third, and then I guess work your way around?
Yeah, there's been a few guys over there. Parker Kelly's healthy. Obviously, Parker's a really good defender, and handled his own over there last year quite a bit, and played over there quite a bit. And Easton's been over there some. Jace has been over there some. And then sliding over to short, Cal Conley's been there some. Jared Cushing's been there. Those two guys have been really good. And going over to second, Klein's obviously a guy that can play over there. And Jace has shown that he's got the ability to go over there if you need to. And then at first base, there's a number of options. You'd like to see Stillwell or Rumfield settle in there. Rombach could push those guys when he's not catching. Go over there, even though he hadn't had a lot of time with us over there. And then you think of all those extra infielders. First base is a place, it's not as easy as people think, but we could stick somebody over there. And then behind the plate, that's what you want me to do, right? Go down the list. On the plate, you got Braxton and Nate Rombach. Those guys have done a really good job. And behind them, Bo Willis. And then if Stillwell needs to go back there, he can. Especially, once a week. We haven't had him back there the whole fall, but once a week, he's as good as anybody. It's just arm didn't hold up every day for us. And then in the outfield, it's pretty much the same guys. You need me to go over the outfield?
I'm sure somebody will ask.
Yeah, I mean, you got Otremba and Masters and Baker. All those guys are competing to play left or right. Kurt Wilson, obviously, is a guy that can defend. That's why he got to stand out there as much as he did last year in left or right. Could probably play center if he had to. Obviously, if Noisy's not in the infield, you're going to look at playing him somewhere else. So that would put him in center. Max Marzak's a guy that can, it's either probably center or right at this point. And then Dylan Carter out of Argyle's a guy that's really, he can defend. I mean, he can go get the ball, and probably leaving somebody out there. Easton's going to play out there some today. We've been trying to transition him to learn to play out there as we go, and because the bat's ready, and so it's just a matter of finding a place to stand.
Coach, when you think about the starters for this year, in terms of last year's rotation, probably Bryce, Micah will be there. When it comes to that third guy, though, is it maybe a guy we'll see rotating in there, or do you foresee it being one solid guy that we see every week?
Oh, I don't think we look at it as just three guys. I mean, it's more of a 5-game week for us. And ideally what we're able to do is put somebody in that midweek role that you can keep running out there and really develop that guy, similar to the way we did Bonin last year. that allowed him to throw his pitches and really find some rhythm and timing, and really helped us down the stretch. I mean, he made some really big pitches and won some really big games. And as far as how it all falls, we're going to let him compete to see, where it all fits. The neat thing about our staff is there's enough really good arms that there's going to be some good arms coming out of the bullpen, and there's going to be some good arms going on Sunday and Tuesday. So that's pretty cool.
Coach, where does this team sit compared to, you've had a lot of successful season where there's been a lot of turnover to the next year. Where does this team sit as far as a good mix of bringing guys back to have that experience, but bringing in the new talent as well?
Yeah, where does it sit? This bunch, I think, is really looking forward to the opportunity to develop and to get a little bit better each day, and to kind of get going. Where they sit, I don't think you really know that until summertime. We lost some really big pieces. You're thinking about Killian. I mean, every time he took the ball, it was 7 or 8 innings, and it was strikes, and got to play defense behind him. And every time he brought Taylor Floyd in, it was strikes. You got to play defense behind him. And then you think of Gabe and Cam and Josh, those guys, you showed up every day, you knew what you were getting with those guys. It didn't matter who was on the mound against them, it didn't matter. They're just tough guys to compete against. And but the neat thing is there's a number of guys within this clubhouse that we could be talking about them the same way we're talking about those guys. Baseball is a unique sport. There's been a lot of guys have good days, and a lot of guys have good weeks. There hadn't been a lot of guys have great seasons. And it takes a lot of discipline and diligence to have great seasons. And you would think that there's some guys that have learned some things from the Cameron Warrens and the Gabes and Josh and Killian. There's not a more diligent guy on our staff last year. That guy he had his routine. He knew how to go about things. He knew how to prepare. And as a result of that, he was very good at, in the moment, he was very good at being centered and being able to go compete.
How has Austin Becker kind of transitioned in to the program?
I think he's fitting in really good. He threw the ball a little bit at the end of the fall, as you guys probably saw. I think he had 2 outings, and he's excited about the spring and seems to be fitting in really good. He had played some with Otrimba and Conley, so pretty easy transition when you have some former teammates on the team.
Have you seen Bryce or Micah add any pitches to their stuff, or how have you kind of seen them grow in the off season?
Yeah, I'll let the hitters figure that out. I mean, they've added something, and but both those guys have been really good through the off season and been diligent about what they're doing, and have prepared really well and have a lot of confidence, carry themselves the right way. And I know they're excited about the opportunity to start team practice and to go try to find some rhythm and timing. It'd be nice if it was just as easy as, hey, we don't even need spring training, let's go play. And this game's not that way. It's a very challenging game. You're going to fail some in this game, and when it comes to individual performance, and it's not how talented you are, it's what you've learned and how you apply that. And those guys seem to be applying it pretty well.
How much of an added boost is it to get a guy like John back amongst your pitching staff, and a guy who, based on draft placement, probably could have gone to the next level?
Yeah, a lot of wisdom there. Guy that's seen a lot of college baseball, competed in some really big moments. There hadn't been a moment, as far as we're concerned, that's been too big for John. He might not have controlled the heart rate at times as well as he would like to, but from the day he's been here, he's been in big moments, and to get him back, just the voice in the locker room, and to have the experience of going through a college season, the ups and downs, the ability to be centered each day and prepare the right way, whether you've succeeded or failed the day before. He knows you got to come in and get ready for the next day.
You have a lot of different people to replace, but is there a guy that you can find on the roster right now to fill the void of a guy like Gabe, who seemed like he got on base every single game and ended up at second.
There could be. I don't know if there's one that'll still third at will. I mean, I hadn't coached too many guys, maybe a couple other ones that, you know, the other team could be in a bunt coverage, which is a time where you're usually holding the runner at second, and he could still third. I mean, he's just really good at it. You know, I don't think he ever got thrown out still in third here. He got to a point last year he developed where he could really handle the bat and even bunt it a little bit. There are guys within this roster that could, but doing it's a different animal. He had the ability with 2 strikes. I mean, I want to say through numbers and through our, you know, our programs that we have, you know, that give us numbers, he swung and missed in 2 years 6% of the time that he ever moved on a pitch. That's Ichiro-like. And so Ichiro might square it up more than Gabe, might have more power, but he had a really innate ability to put the bat on the ball, and that's hard to duplicate. That's going to be the part that you might not see. People don't realize watching a game when a guy got on third with less than 2 outs and Gabe at the plate, the guy's going to score because of what I just said. So to me, that's where you're going to see it more so maybe than the on-base percentage and the stolen bases. Easiest way to say it is those guys win. I mean, this guy just got entered into the Hall of Fame a couple of days ago. I mean, that guy drove runs in. When the guy was over there, you don't win world championships without driving those runs in. And so at the college level, Gabe was very good at that, at the college level.
Coach, are you the kind of guy who, you know, you kind of have a countdown for the season to start, or are you pretty good about filling your time during the off season?
Well, I got a daughter that's a freshman here that keeps me plenty busy. Got a son that's a junior in high school. Been trying to enjoy that. You know, we stay pretty busy. I mean, it's you know, I mean, everybody talks about you better enjoy it while you have them. Seeing that a little bit firsthand, so I'm able to keep myself pretty busy. I mean, it's hadn't been a big issue. At the same time, my wife's very glad when baseball season gets here, because the afternoons you tend to just go, hey, what am I doing? Like, I need to go do something. So we're looking forward to it.
But you mentioned earlier, it's more so, it's not the talent, but it's how guys have applied. They've gotten better in the offseason, even since the fall and whatnot. Is that what a lot of these early practice, or, you know, these early practice for you, just to figure out where guys have progressed, since you don't know the identity of the team or a lot about the team, like you mentioned, for a few more months? But is it
Yeah.
for individual where you're looking at where they've each grown right now?
It's probably there's probably a few answers to that question. You're trying to get them in some game situations a little bit each day. You're trying to build some pitch counts for pitchers. You're trying to see pitches for hitters, and along the way you're trying to develop some individual fundamentals and some team fundamentals. We're a big believer that those two things set you apart, and the more diligent guys are about preparing each day and embracing those fundamentals, a lot of times the better you'll be. And a lot of times in a baseball game, the difference in, you know, the outcome of the game is just fundamentals. It's keeping the runner at first and hitting the cutoff man, moving a runner. And so those are things that simulated games, inter-squads can teach them. Most of these guys know this when they get here. It's having the discipline to execute it. And so what you're trying to do, like this weekend's more, it's just really trying to get them on their feet, believe it or not. I mean, a lot of these guys hadn't been on their feet in a practice for 4 hours in quite some time. You're talking about November 10th or 11th. And so getting used to that, so we can get to a point where we utilize the physical practice to get to where we're better mentally. And so there's a fine line there between the two. You always want to take the opportunity to practice physically to get where, you know, you can quiet yourself and be centered in those moments where you need to be there.
Coach, one
Yeah.
quick random one. Kurt Wilson asked to hit last year at Rouge Robbins had a pretty solid summer at the plate. Any chance he gets a few at bats?
I don't think there's, he's in the, he's in our squad today. I don't think there's any doubt Hunter could hit at this level and would hit at this level. It's a matter, can you balance the two? Kurt necessarily hadn't balanced the two real good. Hadn't really been great at either one. And so to do that, guys got to be great at least one of them. And so how do you do that? Like, we want them to be great, obviously, on the mound. And so we've got guys that can play a position at the same time. I think what we really like is you could go along here for a month and you can say, hey, Hunter, go play left or right field, maybe even in the infield. And he's a good baseball player. He could do that. He can control the strike zone. He can separate balls and strikes. I don't know how much power you're going to get there. But if you watch him take BP, it makes a nice sound. Like, if you know what it sounds like when a guy hits and when he barrels it, he's got a chance to hit. Now, again, I think his future's on the mound. So trying to get him ready.